Alrighty, people, we are now live on my Twitter and the Fireside Knicks YouTube, and in just a few moments, we will also be on the Fireside Knicks Instagram, coming on here today to preview the Knicks versus Hawks first round playoff series that is set to start this upcoming weekend. Should be a very fun series. I know a lot of fans wanted the Toronto Raptors, and I as well wanted the Toronto Raptors. And first off, shout out to everybody who is joining and everyone who's in the chat. I hope everybody is having a very nice Monday afternoon. Um, Obviously, we have about a week until we start the playoffs. The play-in starts tomorrow. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about the play-in tournament, so that's always good. Do not have to worry about that. But anyways, just looking ahead with this series against Atlanta, this should be a fun series. Like I said in the opening, a lot of fans, including myself, wanted the Toronto Raptors, and for a lot of yesterday, it looked like we were going to end up with Toronto. And then the Orlando Magic decided to lose to the Boston Celtics C team, maybe even their D team. That was one of the most stunning losses I've seen a team that's supposed to be a playoff team that I have seen. I mean, I don't even think the Knicks would have lost that game. I know the Knicks have had some bad losses this year, but I don't even think they would have lost that game. I think they would have still found a way to win that, even if that game was close. Excuse me. Anyways, to preview this Hawks series a little bit, obviously the Hawks are a very solid team. This is not a team that we should exactly just gloss over and kind of just assume that we'll beat them. Excuse me, I'm trying to clear my throat up a little bit. But the the Knicks did very good against Atlanta this year. They went 2-1 against them. Both those wins were, of course, by very short margins. They won each of those games by 3 points. But I should point out that the one game they did lose was a game that Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns did not play in. So they were obviously very shorthanded that day. And that was also before the Hawks traded away. I believe that was before the Hawks traded away Trae Young. Maybe they traded Trae Young then, but I know for a fact they still had like Porzingis and stuff on that team. So it's a different group now that we're going to be facing. It's a team that we just played a few days ago, and we beat them in a game that nearly went to overtime. If CJ McCollum got that shot off just a millisecond earlier, then it's going to OT, but it did not. Knicks ended up winning that game. Some clutch shots were made by Jalen Brunson. Really solid defensive performance. If that's the type of effort they can give throughout this upcoming series, then they should be able to handle this series pretty. I won't say easily. I don't think it's going to be an easy series, but they should be able to convincingly take this series. Um, Someone in the Instagram just asked if I think this is going to go to 7 games. That's a good question. Um, it could. It wouldn't surprise me if it went 7 games, just because the Hawks are a very solid group. They're a team that fights hard. They're a team that plays tough. All that stuff. But I personally think this series should end in 6, and I think the Knicks will win this series in 6 games. Um, I would not be surprised if they split the first 2 games at Madison Square Garden. But then the Knicks end up taking care of business on the road. And surprisingly, they actually do pretty decently on the road in the postseason, which is kind of surprising. Usually, I would think that it would be the other way around, but it feels like the Knicks have had a lot more success in recent years on the road in the playoffs. And as a matter of fact, I believe last season they actually did do better on the road. I could be wrong, though. I don't have all those stats in front of me, but it sure felt that way because if I remember correctly, they won all 3 games on the road in the Detroit series. They won 2 games on the road in the Boston series, and I believe they won 1 game on the road in the Pacers series in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, if they didn't have the same amount of wins on the road, then they might have had more, maybe like one less. But either way, it feels like they do better on the road for some reason. So maybe they will take those games on the road, but I wouldn't be surprised if the first 2 games are split, just because the Hawks are playing with a little less expectations than the Knicks are. There's a lot of pressure on the Knicks, undoubtedly, in this series because the Hawks, like I just said, they weren't expected to even make the playoffs outright. They started off the year 16, not 16-28, but they were 4 games under 500 at the All-Star break. They were 26-30. That was not too long after they had traded away Trae Young and all that. So, completely different squad. Now, I should point out the Hawks have been playing really good basketball of late. They are 22-9 over their last 31 games. But I should also point out that a lot of those wins came against bad teams. Now, not all of them were against bad teams. They did beat the Celtics once. They also beat the Pistons once. So it wasn't exclusively bad teams that they beat. So it's not like we should just look at that and say they only beat bad teams, but a large portion of those wins were against bad teams. That's just the reality. Um, Whereas the Knicks have shown a lot this year that they can handle good teams. Obviously, they've had their issues with some other teams, like the Detroit Pistons, for example. They obviously did not do very good against them, but um, they went 29 and 23 against teams with a winning record this year. I think that's one of like 4 or 3 teams in the East that had an above 500 record against those kind of opponents. So that's a good thing. And the Knicks also had a lot of good wins over some of the teams above them. I mean, they had 3 wins against the Celtics this year, 2 wins against the Cavs, 2 wins against the Hawks, who they're about to play. And a couple wins against the Western Conference teams as well, including 2 against San Antonio, 2 against Denver. So they've shown that they can handle tough opponents. Um, Now, as far as the Hawks go, just kind of looking at what the Hawks provide a little bit. Um, that team is one of those teams that relies a lot on their depth. They have 2 very good players, 2 clear leaders in Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jalen Johnson. Excuse me. Those are like their 2 main guys, obviously, but I think it's clear the Knicks have the best player out of these 2 teams in this upcoming series in Jalen Brunson. Whether or not you want to rank Jalen Johnson above Karl-Anthony Towns is up to you. I personally don't think he's better than Karl-Anthony Towns, but I wouldn't be too upset if you ranked him over him. But no, it's very, even besides that point, it's very clear that Jalen Brunson is the best player in this series, and Jalen Brunson also is a playoff riser. We all know that. So I'm looking forward to what Brunson can do. The Hawks are going to present a challenge, though. They are a tough defensive team. Dyson Daniels is obviously a really elite defender. Jalen Johnson's a pretty solid defender. Nickeil Alexander-Walker isn't exactly a cone either. So it's going to be tough. They're going to play hard. They play fast. The Hawks play really fast. They like to shoot a lot of threes. The Knicks have obviously had their run-ins with the three-point line this year. Defensively, they've struggled with that a little bit. But again, I'm expecting the Knicks to take care of business this series. We saw them play arguably their best stretch of basketball to close out the season, getting some huge wins against playoff teams in the Hawks, the Celtics, and the Raptors, beating those 3 teams back to back to back. So that's an encouraging sign that they were able to kind of get themselves on track and enter the postseason on a high note and feel confident about what this group can provide um, in this postseason. Um, Again, it's going to be tough because now the Knicks have a very tough road to get to the NBA Finals. But hey, to get there, you got to beat the best teams. That's just how it works. And to all the Knicks fans who are genuinely upset that we're facing the Hawks instead of the Raptors, look, I understand wanting an easy first round. Trust me, I want an easy first round too. Okay, I'm a Knicks fan. I want my team to have a good route to get to the finals. But if we're actually going to be ducking the Hawks, then how can we label ourselves as contenders and expect us to beat the Pistons, the Celtics, or if we make it to the finals, whoever we face there? How can we expect us to do that if we're worried about the Hawks? And I'm not saying that we can't just like ignore the Hawks, no, but if we if we're more concerned about the Hawks than anyone else, then maybe we don't deserve to be labeled as contenders. I'm just being honest. Um, and again, if the Knicks lose this series, I will say the same thing. If the Knicks somehow lose this series against Atlanta, then that just proved my point that they didn't belong as contenders. Um, Obviously, it's possible that they could get upset. I'm not going to act like that. It can't happen just because the Hawks are a solid team. This isn't like we're facing a playing team here. This is a team that outright made the postseason and deserved it. So it should be a very competitive series. Obviously, it's a rematch of 2021 when the Trae Young Hawks led that squad. But if you look at what the Knicks roster looked like then, it's a completely different group now. Completely different. The only Knick that was on that team that's still here is Mitchell Robinson. So shout out him. And Mitchell Robinson didn't even play in that series anyway. So now he gets a chance to really put his imprint on the game and make an impact against this Hawks team. Obviously, different Hawks team though as well. You know what I mean? So completely different atmosphere now. But the Knicks and Hawks fans still kind of have that little, I guess, rivalry of sorts. Obviously, I don't think the rivalry is as intense as it was a few years ago. I think now that the Knicks' main rival in the playoffs is the Pacers, but obviously the Pacers will not be taking part in this year's edition, so we don't have to worry about them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I hope you guys are too. I think this is going to be a fun series. I think this series could go 6 or 7 games. Um, Maybe it would even end in 5. Maybe the Knicks will handle business and take care of this team in convincing fashion, which I would hope. But I don't expect that. I do expect the Hawks to play really hard and play free because, like I just said in the opening, The Hawks don't have expectations. Nobody really thought the Hawks would even make it here. Um, After the halfway point of the year, nobody thought that they would even have a chance to compete with the Knicks. Nobody even thought they'd make the playoffs outright. If anything, most people probably thought they'd have to go through the play-in to get here. They don't. So this should be fun. I'm looking forward to this. But anyways, I think I'm gonna turn it over to some of the Instagram comments. I see we've had a lot of people commenting over the past 10 minutes that I have been on here. Shout out to everybody who is tuning in right now. If you guys are new to these streams, please follow Fireside Knicks on all of our social media platforms. We're almost at 40K followers on Instagram. I would love to reach that before the start of the playoffs. Game 1 is this Saturday, so that's a few days from now. Give us an opportunity to reach 40K, so I would really love it if you guys could help us get there. Share this stream with anybody who you think will like this, want to talk hoops with me, talk about Knicks with me, whatever. If you're watching this on YouTube and Twitter, please like, repost, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, we're at Fireside Knicks on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter as well. It's at Dylan Backer ESM. For the Instagram folks, like I just said, it's at Dylan Backer ESM. And yeah, anyways, let's turn it over to some of the comments. I'm going to take a quick little water break, and then I will get to some. I see we have a lot of comments already, which I do appreciate. Excuse me. I see one of my IRLs commented, my IRL Jimmy, he said, Knicks in 6. Yes, Knicks in 6. Yes, absolutely. That is the mantra. Anyways, I'm going to scroll up to some of the earlier comments because I know a lot of you guys were commenting while I yapped for 10 minutes. So let's see what we got. Somebody said, how are you, bro? We're ready for the playoffs. Doing good, man. I hope you're doing good as well. And yes, I'm absolutely ready for the playoffs. I'm excited. I think this is going to be fun. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Someone said Knicks in a gentleman's sweep. Yeah, I hope so. That would be nice if we can take care of them in 5 and have a relatively stress-free series. Someone said, I say Knicks in 4 or 5. I'll be shocked for 6, but I hear you. Yeah, I mean, look, I think they should take care of them in 5, but I think it's going to go 6, honestly. It's never easy with the Knicks. I think it's going to go 6. Knicks will have to close out the series on the road, but that's okay. I think they'll be able to do it. I think they can. Someone said Knicks in 5. It's gonna be hard to sweep them. Yeah, it's not. I don't think we're sweeping them. I don't think the Hawks are that bad. I don't think we're sweeping them. If we faced Toronto, I would have started saying sweep. I'm not gonna lie, I would have been saying that. But that was the only team I really felt like we could have swept in the first round. I don't think we're sweeping Atlanta. Someone said they don't have guys that have really been there except CJ. I can see them making a lot of minor errors. Yeah, and that team's also relatively inexperienced for playoffs' sake. A lot of those guys don't have a whole ton of playoff experience, except for McCollum and Alexander Walker. That's kind of it. So that should definitely play a part. Someone said if the Hawks don't neutralize the Knicks' ability to get second and third chances, the series will be over in 5. That's a great point that you brought up because I think the Knicks' big men are going to give the Hawks trouble. I think that's where the Hawks are going to have the most issues is in the front court because the Hawks don't exactly have like the most empowering center room. So I do think the Knicks centers are going to give them trouble. And we saw that when they matched up just last week. Mitchell Robinson was everywhere. I mean, he was the difference maker in that game. And now that we will have Mitch for every game this series, provided he stays healthy, of course, I think you're really going to see his impact. And I think Cat's going to have a really good series too. I'm hoping. Someone said, who's ready for stressful playoff basketball? You know the drill, bro. You know the drill. Let's see. Someone said the Hawks' size of the 5 is a liability. Yep, that's what I was just talking about. Let's see what else we got. Someone else said Knicks in 5. Someone else said Knicks will win in 5. Somebody said if Cat and Brunson run the pick and roll, we're good. Yep, absolutely. Somebody said they had a tough road last year. They did have a tough road last year. And the Pistons series, I think, allowed them to be battle tested a little bit. I think that's why they were able to win that Celtics series. Because the Pistons did give them a little bit of a wake-up call a little bit, I think. Someone said we shouldn't be worried. We're good. Yeah, look, I wouldn't I agree we should not be worried. We really should not be worried about the Hawks. But when I say that, I'm not using that as a way of being like, oh, we're gonna sweep those guys. Those guys are bad. No. I'm just saying that if we're worrying about the Hawks, we're worrying about the wrong thing because we're supposed to be contenders. So the first round should not be an issue for a team that's supposed to be a contender. but we'll see what happens. Someone said if they lose, this will be the last time you see the squad together. Oh, absolutely. If they lose in the first round, I think wholesale changes are coming. Um, but I don't want to speak that into the air right now. But I think that's kind of stating the obvious, honestly. So um, yeah, I don't disagree. Someone said Alexander Walker scares me most. Oh yeah, no, he scares me too. That guy is good, man. He's gonna win Most Improved Player. I'm giving my vote to him. If I had a vote, my vote is going to Alexander Walker. Obviously, I don't actually have a vote, but if I did, that's who I'd give it to. I think he deserves it. Someone said, if we're being honest, Knicks really could put this away in 5. Yeah, they really can. They can. Somebody said, guess I was wrong about Kevin McCullough Jr. Because for those who don't know, the person in the chat who I'm referring to here, it's EQW underscore 1217. He said last stream that if Kevin McCullough scored 35, I would have to stream after the Hornets game yesterday. He didn't score 35, so I didn't go live. I could have went live to discuss this matchup, but um, I kind of wanted to let the dust settle in a little bit and also allow myself to give more time to talk with you guys about it today, since we have a good layoff between now and the postseason. So um, that's that. But yeah, he did not score 35. So I hate to break it to you, my friend, but yeah, I guess you were very much off on Kevin McCullough Jr. How many points did he finish with? I'm actually going to check right now because I'm actually curious how many points he finished with. I know he had a couple buckets, but um, definitely not 35. Let's see how many he finished with. He finished with 14. So you were about a third of the way off. So yeah, he did play good though. Let's see what else. Someone asked what happened with Mike and Clyde. Nothing happened with Mike and Clyde. I think you're referring to the Mike Breen quote about the regional networks. So basically, in short, this is the first time ever that regional networks do not have broadcasting rights for the first round of the playoffs. And Mike Breen, who obviously calls the games for MSG and ESPN, um, he expressed his opinion about it. He disagreed with it. He thinks it's a bad decision for the league to exclusively air the playoffs on national networks only, all through the first round and onward. Um, I agree with him. I agree with him. Look at the Dante DiVincenzo call from 2024, the game winner. That was on MSG. You're not getting that call if it's only on national TV. So, sometimes the iconic calls in the playoffs are happening on the regional networks. Um, and plus, too, like he had added too, the fans want to hear their team's voice call the games, at least in the first round. Especially if you're a fan of a team that hasn't really been to the playoffs a whole ton, or it's the first time you're in the playoffs in a very long time. Like look at the Knicks in 2021 when they made the playoffs the first time in like 8 years. I'm sure every fan was ecstatic to be able to listen to Mike Breen and Clyde Frazier on the MSG call um, in round one. So yeah, I agree with him, and I think it's good for him to speak up about it and stand up on it, especially considering that he already calls games for a national network. He calls games for ESPN, and he's going to be calling the finals this year on ABC. So, um, I respect him a lot for that. I do. Someone said I want someone to beat Boston round one. That would be nice because then we would end up playing whoever that team is, assuming we advance. Obviously, the Celtics will end up playing the seventh seed, who Um, that will be decided between the Orlando Magic and Philadelphia 76ers matchup. We just saw Orlando lose to Boston's D team, so let's hope the Magic do not get that. But then again, the Sixers don't have Joel Embiid either, so I think it's kind of a lose-lose situation, and I fear that Boston's not going to lose to one of those two teams, unfortunately. Let's see. Someone else said nobody should be scared of the Hawks. So could they take one? Yeah, maybe win the series. Nah, we're good. That's how I feel. I think they'll get a game or two, but I don't think they win in the series. Someone said I'm actually scared to play the Hawks. I'm so serious. I don't think you should be, dude. Honestly, I don't think you should be scared of this team. If you're scared of this team, but you're not scared of Boston or Detroit, I don't understand that. I'm just being honest. I mean, if you are scared of those two teams, be my guest. You're more than welcome to fan however you want, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me if you're afraid of the Hawks, but you're not afraid of the Pistons and Celtics. That wouldn't make any sense to me personally. But to each their own. Someone said, "Got to be careful with Atlanta. Young 3-point teams give New York headaches, but I think New York wins in 5 maximum." Yeah, well said. they shoot a lot of threes and they play fast, and that's going to be tough. Somebody said my favorite channel. I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. Like I said, if you guys are new to these streams, please follow us and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, every platform you can imagine. And you can also follow me on Twitter. It's at DylanBackerESM. Share, repost this stream to anybody who you think will enjoy this and want to talk Knicks with me. Feel free to leave comments if you're watching this on Twitter or YouTube. Instagram, obviously, you guys are commenting a lot, which I really appreciate that, and I'm going to get back to those in just a moment. So, yeah. We're almost at 40K followers on here on Instagram. I would love to reach that before the postseason. We have about 6 days until game 1 or 5 days, whatever. It's possible. I think it's very possible, and I think with you guys' support, we can really get there. So I would really appreciate if you guys can help us reach that. Anyways, let's get back to some comments. Somebody said, I think they're talking about Kevin McCullough in G League because I think he dropped something around 35 in the G League. No, that if you're referring to that comment, no, he wanted Kevin McCullough to drop 35 yesterday against Charlotte because he knew that like all the starters were sitting. Yeah, no, he wanted him to drop 35 against Charlotte last night. And he got like 25 minutes or something like that. So I mean, if he got shots up, maybe it was possible. But no, he wanted it against Charlotte, so I'm gonna scroll down to more recent comments. Let's see what else we got. Here we go. Somebody said, "You feel from what you're saying that Mike Brown has a." Someone asked, "Do I feel that Mike Brown has been a better closer than Tibbs?" That's a good question, honestly, because the Knicks were statistically more clutch under Tibbs, but I feel like the Knicks have had what's the word I'm looking for? I think they've been able to be in less clutch games because they've been able to dominate teams in the third quarter. And statistically, they're the best fourth quarter team in the league. So that clutch factor kind of is coming back a little bit. So that's nice to see. The way I would grade Mike Brown's first year, obviously it's an incomplete grade. I don't think this is a final grade at all, just because of playoffs. We still have to see how he does in the playoffs. But if I were to grade the regular season, B+ is fair. I think the fact that they won 53 games, finished top 10 in offense and defense, top 5 in net rating, had all those blowout wins that they had, and all that other stuff, and the NBA Cup champion stuff and all that. I think a B+ is fair. I think the reason I don't give him an A or an A- is because of the consistency problems, like the 2-9 stretch, for example, and also the few losing streaks here and there. I think consistency was definitely an issue this year. But I'm hoping that gets cleaned up in the playoffs. And if it does, and they go to the finals or they win a title, then my grade will change. Someone said the bench will also be the key. Yep. The bench needs to do its thing, especially like McBride, Robinson, and Shamet. I think those three are going to be extremely important to providing an impact. Someone said game 1 is the most important game of the series. I fully agree, actually. That's how you set the tone. Look at last year when they blew game 1 against Indiana. The series was over after that. I'm sorry. I hate to sound like that, but I think all of us can agree that when that happened, the series was over. They were not winning the series. So yeah, that was over. Someone said, "What was up with Tyler Kolek yesterday? Was he injured against Charlotte? Because I really want to see him in the playoffs." Yeah, he was injured. He didn't play. He had an oblique strain, so he was ruled out. It's an issue that kept him out for like the last 3 games or something. So he would have played yesterday for sure. He might have even started, if he wasn't injured, but he was hurt. But I'm hoping he'll be okay for the playoffs if needed. But I don't think he's gonna get his number called a whole lot unless, of course, we're really down to very few guards. Someone said, let's just focus on game 1. The rest will take care of itself. Yep. Pretty much. If you start the series off strong, you set the tone, and you give yourself momentum, then you're in control from there. Yeah, it's really that simple. You cannot you can't play with your food and you can't allow Atlanta to take a game and give them confidence. That's the big thing. You wanna keep your foot on the gas. Someone said, "Do you ever wonder what might have come from Dink Pate?" Um, Dink Pate would have been an interesting prospect, and for those who don't know, Dink Pate is no longer with the Westchester Knicks. He is committed to Providence, in the NCAA, so he's going to play college basketball next season. Um, so the Knicks will not have him in their system no more. Um, Look, he was an interesting prospect, and he was young. He was a former top 30 prospect, top 30 recruit. Had a lot of game to him, a lot of versatility. It was a 6'7" guard. Um, the Knicks could end up back with him one day. They definitely can because he's not going to an NBA team right now. So it's not, totally goodbye. But for those who wanted Dink Pate up in the NBA, he turned down those opportunities because he knew he could make more money in the NCAA with the NIL stuff, and I don't blame him. I think that's the right decision for him, and I think he will. I think he'll thrive at Providence. Now, obviously, Providence is not some super high end, high major school. They're not, awful, but they're not, they're not some like Duke or anything like that. But it doesn't matter. It's still college basketball, and he's still gonna make a decent amount of money. So, good for him. Someone said earlier Knicks bench is way deeper than last year. Oh, absolutely. They actually have legitimate options now off the bench. Last year, their only option off the bench was McBride and Robinson. And then Robinson ended up starting later in the playoffs anyway. Other than that, they had Shamit, who barely played, Cameron Payne, who outside of game one against Detroit was terrible, and Precious Achua, who honestly could have seen some minutes. I would have liked to see that, but he didn't. So let's see what else we got from earlier. Somebody said, "What do you think of the West? It's stacked definitely harder than the East. Might be multiple." Oh yeah, I mean the West is very much the West is one of those conferences where it's very top heavy though. I like it's competitive, but I think the East is a lot more competitive actually than the West this year. I think the West is very much gonna strictly be controlled by those top three, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Denver. Because the Lakers got hurt. I don't think the Rockets are really all that good. Minnesota's a flawed team. And then all those play-in teams, I don't see any of those play-in teams making it out of the first round, honestly. Either one of those four teams, whichever one of them makes it to the playoffs, or whichever two of them, excuse me, I don't see either one of them getting out of the first round. So, the West is stacked in terms of the top end talent versus the East. But in terms of the conference overall, I think the East is actually a little more competitive um, than the West. Let's see what else we got from earlier. Someone said, "Don't ever trash talk my goat campaign." Look, I'm sorry. I liked campaign for the energy he brought and stuff, but look, we're trying to win a title here, and unfortunately, he was not the missing piece off the bench. But hey, he did it. He did his job for the most part last year. He did what he was supposed to do. So, um, shout out Cameron Payne. He wasn't. He's not a bad. He was cool. It's just we're trying to win a title. Someone said I feel bad for Payne with the injury and getting waived. Yeah, that does suck. I do feel bad for him for that, especially because Philly is in the play-in. Um, that does suck. I wish that didn't happen to him. Let's see what else we got. Someone said this is the Knicks year. Is that a valid take? Yes. Yes. I really it is a valid take though. I think the Knicks have a legitimate chance to win this year. I don't think it's delusional to say it anymore. Someone in the comments keeps bringing up LeBron and saying now he just said Knicks got to offer LeBron the vet minimum. I wouldn't be opposed to that if it's a vet minimum, but what are the chances LeBron's going to actually take that? Because I don't think he would. I don't think he would do that. Um, but that's a conversation we can have more in the offseason. We're not nearly at that point yet. Someone asked which four play-in teams will make the playoffs. Okay, so in the East you have the Magic, Sixers, Heat, and Hornets. So I'm gonna say the Sixers and Hornets will advance to the playoffs. That's what I'm gonna say. Let's see what else we got. And as far as the West, for your question, I might as well, I guess, answer. For the West, you have Golden State, Clippers, and um, the Blazers and Suns. Oof. You're gonna get okay. So the Suns will probably beat Portland. So the Suns will get in, and then you have Golden State, Clippers, or Portland. I'll say the Clippers. I'll say the Clippers. Clippers and Suns will make it out of the West. Let's see what else we got here. Someone said Payne was cool, not mad at him. Yeah, I'm not mad at Cameron Payne. He was cool. Just I didn't think he was a missing piece. I think the pieces we have this year are better. I think Jordan Clarkson. I wouldn't go as far as a significant upgrade, but I think he's a pretty marginal upgrade over Cameron Payne. Let's see. Someone said, I'm so ready for Mitchell Robinson to play basketball in the playoffs. He always brings that energy, and he's a no-trade type of player for me. I never want to see him go. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson is going to make a difference this series especially. And if they advance, he'll make a difference all throughout the playoffs. We saw it last year, and I think we'll see it again. I'm looking forward to seeing what Mitch can do. And as far as the no-trade thing, I mean, yeah, my tone on him has changed, as I've said many times on these streams. I used to say that at the beginning of the year that they should look to move him because of the health and stuff like that. I was wrong. Guy stayed healthy this year, and he's too impactful to get rid of. That's a guy you can't let go. So, we'll see what happens with that. I see we have more viewers in here, so if you guys are new to these, please like up this stream. Follow us on Instagram. We're almost at 40K followers. We're also on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, of course, YouTube, if you guys are watching this on YouTube. And we're on Twitter as well. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dylan Backer ESM. The Instagram folks, like I just said, it's at Dylan Backer ESM. You can search it up on Twitter, and I'll be right there. I'm also on Instagram at Dylan Backer ESM. I post a lot of Knicks content daily. And yeah, so please repost, share, comment, get this stream to more people. I would love to get to as many fans as possible, even Hawks fans. Hawks fans are very much welcome to these streams. This is obviously a Knicks stream, but it's not Knicks fan exclusive. So if you're an NBA fan, if you're a Hawks fan, if you're a Pistons fan, if you're a Celtics fan, I don't really care. You're more than welcome. As long as you're being cordial and you're not arguing with people in the comments, then everyone's welcome. That's my rule of thumb. But of course, Knicks all the way, though. That's how it works here. We are Knicks fans, but I welcome all fans. I'm not the type of guy to shun people out for being a fan of a different team. We respect good hoops here. Let's see what else we got in the comment section, though. Let's see. Somebody said, "Do you think the Iron Man streak is holding back Mikal?" That's a good question. I don't think so, though, just because Mikal has had that streak going on for his entire career. So I don't think the Iron Man streak really has a part in it. Maybe he could benefit from a game off or something or some rest, but I don't think it's holding him back. I think his own mental is just holding him back, and I think not really knowing what his role on the court is what's holding him back. But he's been better of late, so I'm hoping that that can continue. Someone said the way Deuce played last night is a great sign for the playoffs. Oh, absolutely. I thought Deuce was really good last night. Obviously the Knicks didn't win the game, but I didn't care if they lost that game or not. That game meant absolutely nothing. I was not looking at that game for the outcome. I was looking at that game to seeing what guys like Deuce and Clarkson could do for the playoffs. That was their tune-up game. Win or lose, that didn't matter. I didn't care. Let's see. Someone said, let's see, some people were talking about the Western Conference stuff. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. Someone said, how far do you realistically think the Knicks will go? Unbiased. Okay, so unbiased. Good question. I say they're going to go to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe that. I firmly believe that they will beat Atlanta, and if they match up with Boston in the second round, I think they will beat Boston again for the second time. The only reason I'm holding myself back from objectively saying they're going to go to the finals is because, one, I don't know who they're going to play in the Eastern Conference Finals if they get there, and two, if they play Detroit, I don't know if they're going to beat them. I'm being honest. Detroit has been very good this year. They just won 60 games. Their defense gave the Knicks a lot of problems, so I think it's fair to say that right now Detroit's better than them. So um, things could be different if they match up. And if they match up, I can see them going to the finals. I can even see them winning a championship. Talk about the Knicks here. Um, but realistically, I at minimum am seeing an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. Anything less than that, heavily disappointed, extremely disappointed. So that's my 2 cents on that. Someone said Denver looks good. Yeah, Denver is a good squad. And they have Jokic, so it's always going to be tough with him. But I think if the Knicks match up with Denver in the finals, let's say they go to the finals, I think the Knicks take that. I think the Knicks have Denver's number. I think they've cracked the code on that squad. But that's obviously a long ways ahead. We're projecting 2 months from now. And we're also assuming the Knicks make the finals in that scenario, which is also not a guarantee. Same thing for Denver. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not sleeping on Denver at all. They're a good squad. Someone said Deuce looked good. He needed that game to warm up to get back in his bag. Yep. Someone said, how deep do you think Brown should go with the rotation and who would be off the bench? Okay, so I think the rotation that we've been seeing against Boston and Atlanta, like those 2 games in particular, that's going to be the playoff rotation where you have your normal starters. Everyone knows starting five, so I'm not going to name those guys. But then off the bench, you have Deuce, Shamet, Clarkson, Robinson. That's going to be the bench. And I think Deuce, Shamet, and Robinson will get the bulk of those minutes. And Clarkson, I think Clarkson will get minutes. Don't get me wrong, but I think Clarkson will get the least amount of minutes out of those three, unless, of course, Clarkson's outplaying Shamet or outplaying Deuce, whoever. I think Brown's gonna have a more of a strategy of riding the hot hand as opposed to what Tibbs did, which was pretty straight line and pretty much straightforward. There was very few adjustments there, so I think it's going to be a little different. I think Mike Brown's going to ride the hot hand, and if a guy's playing really well, he's going to keep him out there. But as far as who plays, those top 9 will play. Someone said I would love New York and Los Angeles for a finals matchup. That would be cool. But unfortunately for the Lakers, I don't think they're going to get there because of their injuries. Unless they make it past the first round somehow, I don't see how they're. I don't see it. They have to be healthy, and unfortunately, they're not. It's just really unfortunate. And for the Clippers, I don't think the Clippers will make the finals. I don't think Clippers make it out of the first round, like I said before. Somebody said Clarkson was a great pickup. Yes, and you know what? I'm happy Clarkson found his way back into the rotation. I'm happy for him because when he came out of the rotation, I thought it was going to remain that way the rest of the year. But it didn't. He played his way back in, and a big reason why he was able to get minutes again is because he improved defensively. He started showing more effort, and he became a good offensive rebounder all of a sudden too. So when that stuff happens, then yeah, you're gonna get minutes again. So shout out to him. Someone said Detroit's super good this year. Yeah, no, Detroit's insane. One of the fastest turnarounds really in sports. Incredible turnaround by Detroit. I can't even hate on that. Clarkson, despite that DNP stretch, stayed ready and is showing exactly why he's here. Yep, well said. Someone said, yo, bro, I'm in school right now. What are we thinking about the Knicks? Well, hopefully you were not getting too distracted from your classwork, your assignments while watching the stream. But I still appreciate you watching the stream anyway while you're in school. But anyways, yeah, I think we're feeling good about the Knicks, honestly. We got Atlanta on Saturday, start round 1, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's see. Someone said Hornets going to upset Detroit. I could see that. I definitely can see that happening, but I don't think it will. But I definitely can see that. The Hornets are one of those teams where I feel like they can go far or, at least get past the first round. But I don't know. I feel like they're one of those teams where it's they're really fun to watch, but they're not going to get the job done as a lot of fans will hope for. But who knows? Excuse me. Who knows? Maybe I'll be wrong. Someone said if the Knicks go to the finals against Spurs, you think we beat them? I do. I think the Knicks have cracked the code against San Antonio as well. Yeah, I do think they can beat the Spurs. Someone said 12-man rotation like the Pacers last year. They're not going to run a 12-man rotation, and for what it's worth, they shouldn't. They have just too many guards. There's no point in doing that. And I don't think Diawara is deserving of playoff minutes. I think he's, a solid player. I think he will be a solid player. But he's a rookie. I don't think he should get playoff minutes. And I better not see Ariel Hook-Porty or Pacome Dadier getting playoff minutes, because if I do see that, then I better hope that every single other player ahead of him on the depth chart is hurt. So, unfortunately, we're not doing a 12-man rotation. They shouldn't. Someone said, who do you think is a tougher team to play if you're in the West, Spurs or Nuggets, Wemby or Jokic? Easily San Antonio. I think San Antonio is insane. I mean, they lost like 3 games in a 2-month span. And Wembanyama is just insane. That guy's going to win Defensive Player of the Year probably. If he's eligible for awards, I actually don't know if he's eligible. But if he is, he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. If not, I don't know who else is going to win it. The award system is so weird this year. But with that whole 65-game rule thing. But the Spurs are insane. That's a deep team. It's a young team that plays energetic. They're fast. They play physical. They have so many good defenders and so many versatile guards. Easily San Antonio in that case. Someone said Towns has been playing better, but we still need him gone this offseason, right? I'm not going to say that we need to get rid of him just yet, just because I want to see how he does in the playoffs. I'm not going to speak that into the air until it's over. I think a lot of people here though would take the trade off if it meant for Giannis, but you guys are sick of hearing about Giannis, and reasonably so, because I'm also sick of hearing about Giannis. So we'll save that conversation for the offseason. Someone said, I like that. We'll love to see a lot more 2 big lineups with Mitch and Cat. Yes, and I do think we're going to see a lot of double big in the playoffs. And I definitely think we're going to see a lot of it in this series against Atlanta. It worked really well in the matchup last week, and I think we'll see it a lot more during the playoff series. Let's see what else we got here. As I go through some of the comments. Someone said it's not easy to play in the first half of the season, be taken out, and then come back in. Talking about Jordan Clarkson. Yeah. No, really, I commend him a lot for that. I commend him for being ready and for handling the benching like a pro. Because he easily could have just said, I want out, and requested a trade or something like that. Because this was before the trade deadline when he got taken out of the rotation. But he didn't do that. Probably stay on this stream for a few more minutes, and then I will wrap things up. I do appreciate, though, everybody who is tuning in. And if you guys are tuning in, like I said, I've said a few times in the stream, please make sure you like this stream. Follow us on all of our platforms, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Almost at 40K followers on Instagram. Would love to get there before the playoffs. We got 5 days until game 1. So if we can get there, that would be amazing if you guys can give us that support. We're also trying to hit 6,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Would love to get there. Almost at 5K on Twitter as well. You can also follow me on Twitter at DylanBackerESM. For the Instagram folks, same thing, at DylanBackerESM. I'm also on Instagram there. So yeah. Anyways, let's see what other comments we've gotten. Let's see. Somebody said you don't want to see some faces. That means we're in an unhealthy situation. Y'all don't want that nobody wants to see Huck or Dadier out there. Yeah, if we see like Hook-Porty or Dadier out there in a playoff series, I'm going to be very concerned. Yeah. Only way we should be seeing guys like that on the floor is if players are hurt. We don't have like to the person who recommended a 12-man rotation earlier. We just don't have 12 players that are capable of actually getting significant minutes. We don't have that. We have 9, maybe 10 if you count Kolek. But that's it. We don't have I don't want to see I don't want I as much as I love Mohamed Diawara, I don't want to see him getting 15 minutes in playoff games. I don't want to see Ariel Hukporti playing minutes in playoff games, or Pacome Dadier or Kevin McCullough, Dylan Jones, Trey Jemison. I don't want to see that. I don't. We're in win now. It's time to win games. We're no longer in the phase of let's develop some of our guys. No. So we just don't have enough players to run that deep of a rotation. Somebody asked about when I post the injury report the day before games, do I look up who's it's the NBA injury reports out there, and that's where I get the information from, and plus from all the beat reporters and stuff on social media. Somebody said, Dylan, we appreciate you providing the content, keeping us in the know on the Knicks. I really appreciate that, man. I'm glad you enjoy the content. It really means a lot. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody else who feels the same way and who also relies on us for a lot of our information. If you need anything about Knicks, this is the place to be. We provide everything from news, streams like this, analysis, even memes, all that stuff. We provide everything. And best believe we will be providing a lot of good playoff content. We are very excited for the postseason, so be on the lookout. There will be a lot of enticing playoff content on the way. And of course, we will be doing a lot more streams during the playoffs as well. And very soon we will have Johnny back on here as well. For those who remember him, he joined our team this year. He's done an amazing job. He'll eventually be back on these streams as well during the playoffs, and we will have a lot more insight to bounce off of, and you guys will have another person to chat with on here. So that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Somebody asked, "Do I see OG playing in the first game of the first round?" I do. I think he's fine. He's listed as day to day. If it was anything serious, I think he would have underwent a bunch of tests and we would have known about it by now. I think he's fine. I'm not worried about OG. I think he'll be all right. I'll only be concerned about OG if I see he's not playing in game one. Then I'll be a little worried. But as of right now, I'm not worried. I think he's fine. I honestly, I think he just like tweaked it a very little bit. I think he just tweaked it a little bit. I don't think he did anything. I don't think he did anything like too severe. I didn't even notice he got hurt. I mean, like I saw the play. I saw him trip. I saw him step on Scotty Barnes' foot and fall down. But like it happens all the time. So I just thought, okay, whatever, because he kept playing and he looked fine. He wasn't limping or anything. He wasn't moving slower. And it happened early in the second quarter, and he kept playing the rest of the half. And then all of a sudden, halftime rolls around, and they're saying he's out. And I'm like, when did he get hurt? So it was very bizarre. But I think it was very much just a precautionary measure. This close to the playoffs, or at least that's how close they were at the time of that game. Don't want to risk someone getting hurt, especially someone as important as OG. So something like that, they're probably just like, hey man, look, we're gonna get the third seed. These other two games are blowouts. We're not going up or down, win or lose this game. Let's sit you out. And they did, and they ended up winning the game anyway. And then they clinched third seed later that night, so didn't matter. But I think he's fine. Someone said, yeah, I'm not too worried. Seems minor, but I wonder if Brown will err on the side of caution. He won't do that in the playoffs. If OG is ready to go, he's gonna play. It's playoffs. He won't sit him. That's why he sat him last game, and that's why he sat him the second half against Toronto. That was the time to use the side of caution. When the playoffs roll around, though, no. If he is healthy and he's ready to go and he's able to play, he will be playing. There won't be any of those quote unquote healthy scratches, if you want to call it that. No, he'll be playing. Someone said, who do you have in the first round match between Nuggets and Wolves? Somebody replied to him saying, I say Wolves in 7. They match up really well. I can see that. I can definitely see that. I think the Nuggets will win that series, though. Actually, honestly, the Wolves are a good team, but they also have consistency issues like we do. But they're a deep squad, so that can play a part. So that'll be a fun series. I'm looking forward to that one. Someone said, let's see if Brown earns his contract. Yeah, let's see if he does. I mean, I thought he did a good job in the regular season. Obviously, it wasn't perfect, but I do think he did a very good job. Let's see what he does here in the playoffs. This is the real test, and this is where he's going to get judged the most. I know I'm gonna judge him very hard on how he does in the playoffs, and I know a lot of you guys probably will too. Um, I know I posted earlier, what grade would you guys give him? A lot of you guys were saying that you guys were giving grades, but also saying that it also depends on how he does in the playoffs, and I fully agree. That's how I feel. I don't think it's conclusive yet what grade we can give him, but I do think we can at least grade how he did in the regular season, and I thought he did good. B plus is fine. And if you gave him an A minus, I think that's reasonable too. The only reason I didn't give him an A minus for regular season is because of the 1 to 2 and 9 stretch and the just the overall consistency issues I felt with the team. I felt that it took a little too long for a lot of those problems to be scratched away, and I felt that it also took a little too long for guys like Cat to get going. That's something that I kind of partially blame Brown for. So that's the only reason. But otherwise, I thought he did a very good job. First year as head coach, and he wins 53 games. I can't get mad about that. What time is it right now? It's almost 2:40. I'll answer a couple more questions and then I will wrap things up. But I do appreciate everybody who is tuning in on this afternoon. Uh, we have like all different types of age groups watching. So if you're watching this in school or at work, I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to us here at Fireside Knicks and Empire Sports Media. Let's see what else we got. Somebody said, I'm glad Randall had a good playoffs last year. I'm hoping he can keep it up. I always will root for Julius. Always will. Randall always has my respect. I know a lot of Knicks fans feel very strongly about Julius, whether in a good way or a bad way, but he always has my respect. He turned around a franchise that had no end in sight at the time he joined, and he turned to an All NBA player. And he's the reason we were able to add guys like Brunson and Anunoby, and hell, he was the reason we were able to trade for Towns. So, um, whether or not you guys think that was a good trade, it's up to you guys to decide on that one. But um, we're not able to make win now moves without Randall, so he always has my respect. Always, I'll always be rooting for that guy, no matter where he's playing at. Somebody said this person predicted playoffs for the Knicks. They said beat the Hawks in 6, beat the Celtics in 7, beat the Pistons in 6, then get swept by the Thunder. Well, I hope that last outcome does not happen. If we make it to the finals and get swept by the Thunder, I won't be like uh surprised or insanely disappointed just because it's the Thunder and because I'll be happy they made it to the finals, but I'll be a little let down if they get swept. I will be. I would be lying if I said I wouldn't be. Let's just hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope the first 3 outcomes happen, and let's not hope that last one does. Somebody asked if I think Mike Brown is on the hot seat. No, I don't think he is currently. I think the only way he'll be on the hot seat is if they get out in the first round, maybe even the second round. But if they get out in the first round, absolutely he's on the hot seat. Like right now, I think he's fine. But like I said a couple minutes ago, he's going to get judged heavily on how he performs in the postseason. So, if he doesn't do good in the playoffs, if he gets knocked out in the first round, then yes, he's on the hot seat 100%. Absolutely. This is the last question I will answer, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But somebody asked me if I'm concerned about the Hawks. Of course I am. I mean, the Hawks are a very solid team. That's not a bad team, and they have a good set of guys. They have a deep team. Alexander Walker and Jalen Johnson are both going to be most improved candidates. CJ McCollum and Onyeka Okongwu are good role players for them. Dyson Daniels is a really good defender. They have a versatile and deep squad. The problem is for them, they don't have the best big man room, and I think the Knicks centers are going to feast on theirs. And I think that's where the Hawks will have the most trouble is in the front court. I think the Knicks, though, also have the best player between the two teams in Jalen Brunson. You can even say Karl-Anthony Towns is better than their best player. Um, even besides that, I think the Knicks just have more talent. I think they are a stronger and more talented team than the Hawks are. The biggest challenges for the Knicks this series will be the Hawks' physical defense, but also the way the Hawks are on offense. They play fast, they are energetic, they shoot a lot of threes, and threes have always given the Knicks problems. So the Knicks need to make sure they adjust and that they ensure that they don't let Atlanta shoot them out the building. So that's my take on the Hawks right there. And that's how I feel like the series is going to go. I'm going to take a water break real quick. Anyways, guys, I do think this is a good place for me to to wrap things up here on this stream. I do appreciate everybody who tuned in. We had a decent amount of viewers today, I'm really happy we did on a Monday afternoon while some of you guys are working or in school. I can't wait for the playoffs. I can't wait to get more people in here for the postseason as well. I'll try to do more streams throughout this week. This definitely won't be the only stream I do before the playoffs. I will definitely do more streams throughout this week up until game one on Saturday. I don't know if I'll be doing a live stream during the game on Saturday, but I definitely at the very least definitely will be after, like immediately after game one, and I'll probably be that way after each playoff game. So definitely be on the lookout for those. But throughout the rest of this week, I'll try to do some more streams, get more playoff previews in. Maybe I'll get in a guest or two as well if I'm able to do that. And yeah, I'll be providing you guys with a ton of content throughout this week and throughout the postseason, of course, on all of our platforms. So please make sure you guys are following Fireside Knicks on Instagram, on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter at Dylan Becker ESM. Follow me on Instagram as well at Dylan Becker ESM. Again, we got a ton of playoff content coming. This is going to be an exciting series. We're almost at 40K followers on Instagram, so if you guys can get us there before Saturday's game, that would be amazing, and we would love that support. You guys have been awesome with the support this year. Really can't thank you guys enough for that, and I'm looking forward to an even better postseason. The playoffs last year was where we really saw a lot of more viewership last year and a lot of support. You guys were amazing during the playoffs last year, so I'm looking forward to it once again this year. In a much more higher expectations of a year for this group, a group that is about to embark on a title quest. So looking forward to it. I really appreciate everybody who tuned in. I will see you guys on the next stream, though. I really appreciate it once again, and I'll see you guys then. Peace out. Let's go, Knicks. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.